Before we start the show, don't forget to check our new ebook, Kill All Bugs, Learn Software Testing in One Day. For a limited time, it's only $9.99. Links in description.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive. We're the show that tries to cut through the noise, get straight to the insights you actually need. Ever feel like you're just drowning in project management terms? All that jargon. Or maybe you struggled keeping your team aligned, moving forward on something complex.
Oh, absolutely. That's a really common feeling. It's tough in today's world. Things move so fast.
Exactly. So today we're doing a deep dive into two heavyweights, Agile and Kanban. These aren't just buzzwords, right? They're actual methodologies that can, well, really change how teams work and deliver stuff. Our mission here is simple. Pull out the core ideas from our sources, give you a really clear picture of what Agile and Kanban are, what makes them tick, their principles, and where they really shine.
Yeah, and thinking bigger picture for you, understanding these differences, it's not just about learning terms. It gives you real clarity on how teams actually function, how products get built, and, crucially, how work flows. Or sometimes how it doesn't flow. So by the end of this, you should have a much better handle on what efficient project delivery looks like, whether you're leading a team, part of one, or just trying to figure out your company's process. We'll dig into the definitions, the guiding principles, and those key differences that set them apart.
Okay, let's get into it then. First up, Agile. To really understand these, we kind of have to start there. Agile really shook things up, especially for software teams where things change all the time.
Yeah.
So what is Agile, fundamentally? Our sources define it as a practice promoting continuous iteration.
Yeah.
Lots of development and testing all through the project lifecycle, the SDLC.
Right. Think of it as the dynamic counterpoint to that old waterfall model.
Yeah, waterfall, where you plan everything up front, then build, then test. Very rigid.
Exactly. Agile is the opposite in many ways. It thrives when you need constant feedback. It's built for situations where requirements aren't just expected to change, but where change is actually welcomed. And the main goal of each cycle, they're often called iterations or sprints, isn't just making progress, it's delivering a working piece of the product.
A working product, okay. So tangible results frequently.
Precisely. It forces teamwork, direct communication. You need the business folks and the developers working together, like, daily. That collaboration ensures you're building the right thing, aligned with what customers need and what the business wants, not finding out way too late that you missed the mark.
So it's all about being nimble, responsive. Makes sense, but it's more than just a practice, right? There are core principles.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Agile has these foundational principles that really capture its philosophy.
Our sources lay out quite a few. What are the big ones we should focus on?
Well, a huge one is satisfying the customer through continuous delivery of valuable software. That valuable part is key. It also means welcoming changes, even late in development. Like you said, it sees change as an opportunity.
Okay, so change isn't the enemy.
Not at all. And delivering working systems frequently, maybe every few weeks up to a month, keep the timescale short.
And that daily collaboration between business and developers you mentioned.
Absolutely critical until the project's done. And the primary measure of progress, working software. Period.
Working software, got it.
It also promotes sustainable development. You shouldn't burn out the team. And demands real attention to technical excellence. Good design matters.
So those principles really paint a picture of adaptability, customer focus, and delivering real value iteratively.
Exactly. It's less about hitting a fixed target perfectly and more about the journey of refining and delivering, always checking you're on the right path.
Okay, so Agile's about adapting the product through iteration. Now let's shift gears to Kanban. People hear Kanban, they often just think board, right? Like sticky notes on a wall. Is that basically it?
Hey, well, the board is central. You're right about that. Our sources definitely call out the Kanban board as vital for visualizing the workflow, but it's really more than just a visual tool. Its core purpose is optimizing the flow of tasks, how work moves, maybe between different teams or stages. It's a method for defining, managing, and importantly, improving how services or knowledge work gets delivered.
Okay, optimizing flow. How does it actually do that? What are the mechanics?
It's largely about that visualization. Work items, tasks, features, whatever, are made visible on the board. This lets everyone on the team see the status of every single piece of work at every stage, instantly.
So total transparency on who's doing what.
Exactly. And crucially, it helps you spot the problems. Where are things getting stuck? Where are the bottlenecks? The board makes it obvious.
So you can't hide the delays.
Pretty much. It forces you to confront them. And Kanban allows you to reprioritize work more dynamically based on stakeholder needs. You're focused on the flow, not a rigid plan set weeks ago. New work can often be pulled in as capacity becomes available. It's not like you have to wait for the next sprint.
Right, that makes sense for continuous flow.
And a key phrase from the sources is its flexibility. Kanban is never restricted to set process and defined sprint backlog. It adapts to your current process more easily.
That visual transparency sounds incredibly useful. What kind of hidden problems do teams usually find when they start using a Kanban board effectively?
Oh, lots of things. Often they realize they have way too much work in progress, too many things started, not enough finished, multitasking overload. Or you might see that one stage, maybe testing or review, is constantly backed up while developers are waiting for work.
Those waiting states become really clear.
Glaringly clear. The board highlights handoff delays, queues, everything slowing down the value delivery, and Kanban has its own principles guiding this.
Okay, like Agile. What are Kanban's core principles?
First, visualize the workflow. Make it visible, easy to understand. Make the process explicit. Second, limit work in progress. WIP. This is huge. Stop starting, start finishing. It forces you to deal with bottlenecks.
Limit WIP. Okay, that sounds counterintuitive but powerful.
It really is. Third, manage flow. Measure it, understand it, make it smoother and more predictable. Fourth, make process policies explicit. Everyone understands the rules of how work moves. Fifth, implement feedback loops. Regularly review the process and how it's working. And finally, improve collaboratively, evolve experimentally. Use the scientific method, basically. Small changes, observe, adapt. It also encourages leadership at all levels. Anyone can suggest improvements.
Interesting. It sounds less about overhauling everything and more about starting where you are and gradually improving the flow.
That's a great way to put it. Respect the current process, roles and responsibilities, then evolve.
So Agile focuses on iterating the product for changing needs, while Kanban really zooms in on optimizing the flow of work, whatever that work is, using visibility and limiting WIP. Different angles on efficiency. Okay, we've looked at them individually. Now, the big question for a lot of people, where do they really differ? What are the key distinctions our sources point out?
Right, let's connect the dots for you, because choosing isn't about better overall, but better for this specific need. A key difference is application. Agile shines when the end goal isn't totally fixed, when you need to adapt development based on evolving requirements. It loves uncertainty, in a way.
Okay. And Kanban.
Kanban's sweet spot is reducing waste and cutting out activities that don't add value. It's about making the current process more efficient and predictable.
So Agile adapts the what? Kanban optimizes the how? Is that fair?
That's a good simplification, yeah. If your team struggles with hitting predictable delivery dates, maybe Kanban's focus on flow is needed. If you're struggling with changing market needs, Agile's adaptability might be the answer.
Makes sense. What about their focus? Agile seems all about constant communication.
Definitely. That communication fuels the adaptation. Now, you mentioned our sources talked about shorter sprint lengths for Kanban. That's interesting.
That jumped out at me too. Because Kanban is usually continuous flow, right? Not sprints.
Exactly. Traditional Kanban doesn't use time-box sprints like Scrum, which is an Agile framework. It uses continuous flow, pulling work when there's capacity. If a source mentions sprint lengths with Kanban, it's likely describing a hybrid approach, or maybe a misunderstanding. Perhaps teams are applying some time boxing within their Kanban system for planning or review cadences, but it's not a core Kanban principle like it is for Scrum.
Okay, so that's an important clarification. Agile, communication for iteration, Kanban flow optimization. Got it. What about QA? Quality assurance. The sources noted a difference there.
Yes, a pretty significant one in practice. In some Agile setups, especially sprint-based ones, QA can get squeezed at the end. Not much to test early on, then a huge pile right before the deadline.
The classic end of sprint crunch.
Right, which can lead to bottlenecks, stress, maybe missed bugs. Kanban often integrates QA differently. QA is involved throughout the process, testing things as they move through the workflow.
So continuous testing alongside continuous flow.
Ideally, yes. It aims to catch issues earlier and bake quality in, rather than inspecting it at the end. Smoother flow for QA, too.
And iterative development itself. The sources were pretty direct. Agile allows it, Kanban does not. That sounds fundamental.
It is a core difference. Agile is built on iteration, those cycles of building, getting feedback, refining. Kanban focuses on the flow of individual items. While you can improve items as they flow, it doesn't have that built-in structure of producing a potentially shippable increment every few weeks, like Scrum does.
Different rhythms entirely.
Completely. And that affects the tools. Agile often relies on storyboards or similar tools to track user stories through sprints. Kanban, naturally, depends on its Kanban board to visualize that continuous flow.
Visually checking work. Kanban's board is obviously visual, but the sources say Agile doesn't inherently offer the same level of visual WIP checking.
That's generally true. Kanban's power is that immediate, shared, visual understanding of all the work, its status, who has it, where the blocks are. It's a real-time process X-ray. Agile teams communicate constantly, but they might not have that single, persistent visual representation of all work in progress in the same way. Information sharing happens differently.
Okay, so different visualization approaches. What about the ultimate goal then?
For Agile, the goal is really continuous integration, development, testing, constantly delivering and improving the product.
And for Kanban?
The primary goal is to improve the team's process, make the workflow itself more efficient, predictable, smooth, less waste, faster flow.
Product goal versus process goal. Interesting.
It influences everything, including planning. Agile planning, especially sprint planning in Scrum, can be quite involved, taking significant team time to plan the next iteration in detail.
Right. The sources mentioned it can take a whole day.
It can. Kanban, on the other hand, often requires less initial setup or organizational change. You start by visualizing your current process and making small incremental improvements to the flow. It can be less disruptive to implement initially.
Easier barrier to entry, perhaps. Finally, let's touch on the advantages highlighted for each. For Agile.
The sources point out that breaking work into small chunks helps teams really focus high-quality development, testing, collaboration within that iteration, and testing frequently catches bugs early.
Makes sense. Faster feedback, better quality, and Kanban's advantages.
Optimized flow often leads to shorter cycle times, getting features or fixes out faster. That continuous flow and rapid feedback can also be really motivating for teams. They see progress constantly, solve problems quickly, feel more empowered.
Less waiting, more doing, more impact.
Exactly. Reducing frustration from bottlenecks can be a huge morale booster.
Wow, okay. We've really covered a lot of ground here. We've defined Agile and Kanban, unpacked their core principles, and really dug into the key differences: application, focus, QA, iteration, visualization, goals, planning, advantages.
Yeah, and connecting it all back, it's super clear there's no single best answer. They offer different toolkits for different problems. Agile really excels when you need to navigate uncertainty and evolve a product iteratively. Kanban is fantastic for bringing visibility, predictability, and efficiency to an existing workflow.
The real strength seems to be in understanding both well enough to know when to apply which, or maybe even how to blend elements carefully.
Absolutely. Understanding their strengths is key.
So for everyone listening, think about your own projects, your team's environment. Given what we've discussed, which approach or maybe which specific elements might help you reach your goals more effectively? The real power isn't choosing a label, but using these ideas, understanding their strengths, to continuously improve how you work and deliver value. That's the ultimate goal, right?
Hey, yo, haven't you checked out our new book yet? Link in description.